55-year-old Jayne Peters was the mayor of Coppell, Texas, a small, upper-middle-class suburb of Dallas. On July 12, 2010, Jayne shot her 19-year-old daughter Corrine in the back of the neck and then killed herself hours later. The murder-suicide surprised the town of Coppell, and the incident seemed even more bizarre after some of the details of the family's life became public. Years before, Jayne and her husband Donald moved to Coppell and lived in a quiet neighborhood of the city with their teenage daughter Corrine. Donald was a software developer and was the breadwinner for the family. Jayne served in local politics, first serving on city council, and was eventually elected as mayor. From all accounts, they seemed to live a normal and happy life. In 2008, though, Donald was diagnosed with cancer and passed away soon after at the age of 58. His death was hard on Jayne and Corrine, but they did their best to carry on with life as normally as they could. Jayne continued to serve as mayor. Residents said she appeared to enjoy what she did. She attended ribbon-cutting ceremonies, speaking engagements, school events, and passed out candy at city parades. Corrine was a popular girl at her high school and was socially active. She was on the high school's dance team and did well academically. In Corrine's senior year in high school, Jayne purchased Corrine a new car, a brand new red Hyundai Sonata. This is the car that Corrine wanted, and she was thrilled that her mother was able to buy it for her. However, things were not exactly as they seemed. What Jayne didn't tell Corrine was that the car was actually a rental from a local Avis that she had rented using a credit card because Jayne could not afford to buy it. Jayne was stretched thin financially. It turned out that Donald did not have any life insurance when he passed away, and to make matters worse, Jayne's position as mayor did not pay a salary, so the family had no income. Jayne was not mentally prepared to downgrade her upper-middle-class lifestyle that she was accustomed to, and felt too much pride to tell her daughter that she was not able to provide for her. Jayne continued to try and keep up appearances, and continued to spend what little money she had as though nothing had happened. In early 2010, Jayne offered to help Corrine apply for college. Jayne filled out all of the application work and mailed off the applications when they were filled out. Not long after, Jayne told Corrine that she had been accepted to the University of Texas, which was Corrine's first choice. Corrine was excited to be able to go to the same university as her friends. However, Corrine had not been accepted to the University of Texas, or any other school. Jayne had only pretended to fill out the college applications on her daughter's behalf, and never mailed anything in. Jayne had waited a few weeks after pretending to mail in the applications, and then lied to Corrine, saying she had been accepted. Jayne knew this story would collapse eventually, but she could not bear to say she was unable to fund her daughter's education. Meanwhile, Jayne and Corrine continued to live in their nearly 4,000 square foot luxurious home, which at this point was in danger of foreclosure due to non-payment. Jayne's financial situation started to become even more desperate, so she started to pay for her living expenses using her city credit card that was meant for municipal expenses only. Eventually, Jayne's use of the city credit card came into question after an internal audit, and authorities believe it was at this point that Jayne started planning her and her daughter's death. On July 8, 2010, Jayne asked a friend of hers if she could borrow his gun. She told him she was taking a concealed carry course and wanted to use it for practice at a gun range. Her friend, unaware that Jayne was in a very troubled state of mind, obliged her request, and Jayne took home the 9mm handgun. In order to keep up Jayne's lie that Corrine had been accepted to the University of Texas, Jayne told Corrine they were scheduled for a campus visit that summer. With only a few days left until their fictitious trip was to take place, Jayne realized that she could not keep her lies going for much longer. On July 12, 2010, 4 days after borrowing the gun from her friend, Jayne and Corrine started packing Jayne's car in the early morning hours in order to prepare for the trip. At that moment, Corrine still believed that she was college-bound and was unaware of her mother's state of mind. At 6 a.m., neighbors reported seeing both Jayne and Corrine loading bags into the trunk of Jayne's car. Approximately 5 minutes later, Jayne snuck up behind Corrine in the laundry room of their home and fired the Glock handgun into the back of Corrine's neck. Jayne then wrapped Corrine's head in several towels and closed the laundry room door. At 6:15 a.m., neighbors reported seeing Jayne unload all of the luggage from the trunk of their car. Jayne then set out to tie up some loose ends. She drove the Hyundai Sonata she had rented for Corrine back to the Avis rental lot at 6:30 a.m. She then walked the 5 miles back to her home. Witnesses would later state they had seen her walking along the street, looking unusually disheveled. Jayne returned home. With her daughter still dead in the laundry room, she tidied up the house and played with her dog in the backyard. One neighbor recalled seeing her with a dog while Jayne gave her a friendly wave. Jayne then took to her computer and printed out several notes. One note contained instructions on how to care for the family pets. Another note was taped to the front door of the house along with a house key that read, "To our first responders, here is the key to the front door. I am so very sorry for what you are about to discover. Please forgive me." Jayne then placed several of Corrine's childhood stuffed animals in front of the laundry room door, and then went upstairs into the master bathroom. She placed 2 patches of fentanyl on her back and placed a note on the bathroom door which read, "Please do not resuscitate under any circumstances." She then sat on the floor of the bathroom and shot herself in the head.